Welcome to the Petty Details. I'm Jen Petty. This is Justin Petty. We are Petty Details. We are subject matter experts in auto property damage claims. So we help people with all sorts of problems when they're dealing with a auto claim after an auto accident. And in this video, we are going to talk about rental reimbursement versus loss of use. So Justin, rental reimbursement versus loss of use. What's the difference?
So big difference, rental reimbursement is what your own company pays you. That's your own insurance company. They pay you rental reimbursement. There's a section in your policy about it, and it caps the amount. If you look at your declarations page, it'll tell you 25 and 90 days. So $25 a day for 90 days, or 35 for 90 days, or 50, or whatever you purchase when you purchase your policy. That's going to be how much they'll reimburse you for. And technically they don't have to bill set you up in a rental. They could say, go rent a car and we'll give you back $35 a day for up to 60 days. And sometimes they do handle it that way. They'll just say, yes, you've got rental reimbursement, send us the bill and we'll pay you back. So you sometimes have to pay up front for
Yeah,
your
that's
rental. It's
crappy.
BS, but it's like most of the more well-known insurance companies will put you in a rental under a direct bill issue. So they'll
That they
direct
approve.
bill,
Yeah.
right. And so you can normally get in a rental car without any out of pocket, but it's going to be limited. You're going to get a crappy little car, the cheapest little rental car that's available, unless you have
Most of the time,
purchased
unless
big.
it's not nothing available. Sometimes it's like nothing's available, so you get an SUV on accident.
Well, that
Now and
doesn't,
again.
but that doesn't change how much the insurance company owes you on a first
That's
party
right.
claim.
That's right. Because what
And
about
so,
loss of use?
so if there's not one available, you're out of pocket more money.
Yeah.
That's rental reimbursement. So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So that's a good example of maybe thinking that, oh, wait a minute, my rental reimbursement might pay for. No, it's limited to what the policy says. They only owe $35 per day up to a certain amount per claim.
Yeah.
And so that you have to know that it's rental reimbursement at a certain amount for a certain amount of days. Loss of use, completely different animal. That is based on what it would cost you to rent your same car, and it's based on whether or not you can drive your car and whether it's reasonable to not be able to use the car. Is it safely drivable? Is it not? Did you put it in the shop just waiting on parts and you want 2 weeks worth of rental, or loss of use, if you will, because you just put it in the shop early and they're still waiting. You could have driven it for another week. So there's a lot of factors, but loss of use is based on case law, common law, negligence. It's a tort. It's a negligence claim. Somebody else is at fault for your claim, and therefore they owe you for the loss of your right to use your vehicle when it's unavailable to you. That's what the law says that they owe you for if somebody else is negligent and owes you for it. Their liability is for your loss of use. If they're liable for your loss of use. So their liability coverage pays for your loss of use. So you have to understand that your loss of use is based on negligence. Somebody has to be at fault. You have to be filing that claim against their insurance company, and then that's a loss of use claim. Only
And
except mhm.
and there's different case law in different states about how it's handled. And like I just did, we just did a loss of use report for a Lamborghini in Colorado, and that loss of use report was 140 grand. So how can they owe them 140 grand when the car's only worth 105, or whatever, how does that work?
Well, it's based on case law. And in most states, you're not limited to the value of the vehicle. I mean, it's like, how am I supposed to buy another Lamborghini to use?
Yeah.
If you just keep me out of the use of mine and say, well, you've got to buy another one because we've
And
waited
don't
so
know how
long.
long, don't
That's
know how
right.
long.
Well, it's up to the tort fees. Or most negligence laws are built on the concept, first principles of making the person whole. If it were not for the negligence of another person, where would your financial position be? If not for the negligence, then where would you be? And the goal of tort law, negligence law, is to put you back in that position that you enjoyed immediately before the negligence of the other person. So if not for the negligence, where would you sit? You would sit right where you sat immediately before that. And
Yeah.
so if they continue to create damages that are foreseeable, they call them consequential damages. If it's reasonable to expect that, well, yeah, if I wreck into somebody, they're going to have to be out of the use of their car while it's getting fixed. So I'm going to have to pay them to have a duplicate car while their car is getting fixed or while they're replacing the car. And that's exactly what the case law in every state says to a certain degree, that
Yeah.
it's based on how long are you without the use of it. And like, for example, in Texas in 2016, we have the JD towing case that says total losses suffer loss of use just like just like repairable vehicles do. And so before in Texas, if your car was totaled, they said, well, it's totaled. You can't use it anyway. Well, that doesn't make any sense. And finally, in 2016, the Supreme Court said, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why? It's like you still can't use it after it's totaled. And so the reasonable time for replacing the vehicle, you should still get loss of use for that time. And so they explain that that's how that works here. And it does work like that in lots of other states. Doesn't work like that in some states. You have to look we've got resources to tell you which states say what. But loss of use is a negligence claim that is governed by common law, and rental reimbursement is a contractual coverage that you have with your own insurance company. It's limited to what the contract says. So that's
Well, in the
the
last couple
long and short of that.
minutes, like, why don't we talk about really quick some interesting cases that just off the cuff, because we didn't talk about this. But so, what about that Geo Metro here in Texas, the loss of use case that was one of our really big first loss of use wins, right here in Texas?
Well, I mean, we didn't really even do anything on that case. It's
No, we
just
just
that
wrote the report.
one of the attorneys that I know had a case where this individual had a 1993 Geo Metro that had been converted to a diesel, and so it was very economical vehicle to use, and that's the reason he did that, because he could get 45 miles to the gallon, and it was
Yeah,
just
because
for
he drove
going
a
back and
long way
forth.
for work, like every
He
day.
drove. I think he was a roughneck, and he worked at an oil field, and so he just wanted to get a way to get back and forth from his place where he was staying to. Anyway, he needed an economical vehicle, and of course, you can rent a Geo Metro, for pretty cheap, $25 a day, back when this claim happened. And so even at that, I think we found it was about a $35 a day rental that we had
Yeah,
to that
but
it
it was
would have
a third
cost.
party, and that's the difference. Is it was a third party claim, and so they
Yeah.
were fighting that in the court, in trial.
Well, yeah, and the other person, the negligent person's insurance company just ignored the guy because they thought, hey, it's a Geo Metro. He's not going to sue us for that. He can't.
For a
And
long
if
time.
they just ignored him for a year and a half. And
Yeah.
he found an attorney, one of the attorneys I work with now, that was able to help him file a claim on it. That was David, the attorney, and he was able to prove that the insurance company for the at-fault person was also negligent, that they
Mhm.
did not handle the claim properly. And so he ended up getting like 50 or $60,000 loss of use. That car was worth like 4 grand.
I thought that
You
was
know,
Rollins, though. I thought that was another case. Who knows? They
I
sort
think
of
it
run
was.
into each other.
No, yeah.
Now that we've done
I,
it this long, they do run into each
I don't
other.
think so
I
because
feel like it
I
was
thought that
Rollins.
it might have been Dallas. I thought it was Houston. So
Yeah, I feel like it was Dallas. But the other one that I thought about was when you were testifying in Maryland on a diminished value case, and we were at trial. And we never, we don't travel very often, but that time it was during COVID, so we had to wear masks and all the stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, but during the break, he had to go out to the courtyard and sit at the picnic table and testify at another trial in Arizona. That was the only loss of use report we've ever written for that attorney, or the only time I think that we've ever worked with that attorney. And we just written a quick loss of use report, and Justin ended up helping that guy. I think he won like 45 grand or something like that. It was like something really big. It was a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was more than that, but
Yeah, it
it
might
was
be
a
like
lot.
50 something.
Well, I thought what was interesting about that case is what it was hinging on is the definition of total loss or salvage. And the
Mm,
judge asked me while I was testifying, what's, would you have called this a total loss or not? And I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. That's something that the insurance company decides. I wasn't the adjuster on it, but the vehicle wouldn't have been a salvage vehicle. That's a different calculation. It's based on the motor vehicle code, not the insurance policy. And
mm-hmm.
so he asked me to whether or not it was totaled. And I said, I can't answer that because that's up to the insurance company. I can tell you if it's salvage or not by looking at the Department of Motor Vehicles statute, but whether it's totaled, I can't tell you that. And that was the defining factor in the dispute, is that because it wasn't a salvage vehicle, the insurance company calling it a total doesn't mean that you don't get loss of use. You can call it,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a salvage car. So just because you say
Yeah.
it's total doesn't mean you can't have loss of use on it. So there's some nuances there with the case law and definition of salvage and total loss, and Arizona laws are a little different than Texas, but yes, for the most part, it was based on that the insurance company called it totaled, didn't want to pay for loss of use, and it wasn't a salvage vehicle. So their determination that it was totaled wasn't factual. It was
Yeah.
just what they wanted to happen. Yeah.
The other one that I think about, because we've had like several that are big that just stand out, and that was we did a diminished value report for an appraisal for an attorney down in San Antonio, something like that. This was a Corpus Christi case, and it was a matter of a woman with, I think she had like an old Ford Explorer, and it was totaled by a guy driving a company truck, off hours. So the insurance carrier was saying that no, he wasn't on duty, so we're not covering it. And then they were saying, well, he was in a company truck, and and she couldn't never get her car fixed. She couldn't get her car. She didn't have the money to get her car fixed or buy a new car. And so, I mean, they'd hired us to do diminished value, and it was like $3,000 or 3,500 or something. It was like really low. And then they had Justin travel to Corpus, and he was like, I don't know why they're bringing me down for a DV claim this small. But then we realized that, okay, it's also a big loss of use, and was it pain and suffering, or something to that degree?
There were some punitive there were some
Yeah,
punitive awards that happened in that claim. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was a
was an
big one.
interesting one because it was adversarial at the trial
Mm,
too, because it was in Corpus Christi and it was a white lady, and the entire jury was Hispanic males, most of them.
yeah.
And so it
And that makes
it
a
didn't
difference.
look
I mean, race or whatever. I mean, it just makes a
it
difference because it's your peers.
but it was it's just what you think. But I've seen so many prove you wrong scenarios. This was one of those scenarios where
Yeah.
the jury was completely fair about it, and it was
People are
anyway.
people at the end of the day.
Yeah, I remember when I was testifying that the defense counsel was pretty asking me some pretty leading, tricky questions on
Yeah.
cross-examination and stuff. And I think he said something to his colleague in Spanish, and then he came back to me, and I can't remember how it came about, but it came about that I could speak conversational
Mm-mm.
Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and that I think surprised him because I sound like a country hick. I can't hide it, but
Yeah, you do.
yeah, but I'm just like, I can speak Spanish,
Yes.
and so it's interesting that
You
comes
also
out.
have
And
that thing where you take on the accent of the person that's talking whenever
yeah, I
they
do.
have an
I do.
accent.
Yeah, yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Can't help it.
If somebody's got a Russian accent,
You're
I'm
in.
doing the
You're
same
all
thing back.
in.
I'm telling, going back. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I mean,
yeah.
that's interesting. It's really interesting the difference in loss of use
Well,
renewal.
that
People are always
that
so
defense
confused.
attorney that defense attorney called me after that claim.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
remember
right.
that?
That is
He
so
called me
funny. To
up
hire
after that.
you.
Yeah, he called me to hire. He's like, you probably don't remember me, but I cross-examined you at a case in Corpus Christi about 5 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and
I remember
I was
that.
wondering if you could help me on, And I was like, yeah, okay,
Oh
So
yeah, we talk to a lot of people, help a lot of people with those types of things. It's just real nichey types of subjects that a lot of people don't really know the technicalities behind. And Justin's well versed in all of that, and he consults attorneys about it. So if you ever have an issue, of course, reach out to us. Our website will be in the description. But also, if you have an issue with loss of use or rental, or have a question that you aren't sure we didn't answer, leave a comment and we will write you back, or we'll make a video about your question and we'll just direct it straight to you. So, leave a video, like, subscribe. I don't know, all the things that you're supposed to do on videos, do it. Okay. Just do it. Just do it. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.